Julia's world has completely fallen apart. What once looked like a fairy tale life with Brandon has now turned into an emotional storm that has left fans speechless. The once smiling couple, who seemed to conquer every obstacle on 90 Day Fiancé, is now at the center of one of the show's darkest turns, a shocking twist involving family manipulation, betrayal, and even Brandon's arrest. It all began when Julia started showing signs of emotional exhaustion. Viewers noticed the tension in her eyes long before the cameras captured what was really happening behind the scenes. Julia had been struggling with the constant interference of Brandon's parents, especially his mother, Betty. For years, Betty has been known as one of the most controlling figures in the 90 Day Fiancé franchise. She's always been deeply involved in Brandon and Julia's marriage, from where they live to when they should have kids, and even how they spend their money. But this time things went too far. Sources close to the couple revealed that Betty's obsession with protecting her son crossed serious boundaries. Julia allegedly found out that Betty had secretly interfered in one of her job opportunities, sabotaging her chances to gain financial independence. Julia had been planning to work part-time at a dance studio and start a small online business. But when she contacted the studio again, the owner allegedly told her that someone from her family had called warning them she was unreliable. Julia was heartbroken when she learned the caller was none other than Betty. That betrayal became the breaking point. Julia confronted her mother-in-law, demanding an explanation, but instead of apologizing, Betty reportedly doubled down, saying she was only trying to save Brandon's marriage from financial trouble. Julia's response was emotional and raw. She told friends she felt like her entire life had been ruined, not by strangers or enemies, but by the very family she trusted. At the same time, Brandon was dealing with his own troubles. Reports began circulating online that Brandon had been arrested following an altercation that escalated out of control. According to early reports, Brandon was allegedly involved in a heated argument outside a local bar. Witnesses claimed it started as a verbal fight but quickly turned physical when Brandon tried to defend himself after being provoked. Police were called, and Brandon was taken into custody for disturbing the peace and public misconduct. While the charges were later reduced, the damage to his reputation was done. Fans were stunned, not just because of the arrest, but because it came at the same time Julia was breaking down emotionally over her mother-in-law's betrayal. Julia reportedly tried to reach Brandon during his arrest, but he refused to take her calls, further straining their relationship. Social media exploded with speculation. Some fans blamed Betty for pushing her son and daughter-in-law to their limits. Others defended the family, saying the couple had always been dramatic for TV. But those who followed Julia closely noticed that she began posting cryptic messages on Instagram, talking about starting over, healing from betrayal, and learning to stand alone. Behind closed doors, things were even worse. Julia reportedly packed her bags and moved out of the family property temporarily. She stayed with a friend for a few weeks while deciding what to do next. In one emotional moment shared by someone close to her, Julia said she felt like her life had been completely destroyed and that she no longer knew who to trust. Fans have long seen Julia as strong and independent, someone who refused to be silenced even when she was criticized for her accent, her choices, or her fiery personality. But this time, her heartbreak was different. The emotional toll of family pressure, combined with Brandon's legal trouble, created a perfect storm. Meanwhile, Brandon's arrest had consequences that went beyond just his marriage. TLC producers reportedly considered delaying or canceling some of his upcoming scenes for the next 90 Day Fiancé spin-off. The network doesn't tolerate off-screen legal drama, especially when it paints their stars in a negative light. Brandon was said to be devastated when he learned he might lose his spot on the show, something he had worked years to build. As for Betty, she remained unapologetic. In a shocking twist, she allegedly told a close friend that she did what any mother would do. She believed Julia was manipulating Brandon emotionally and financially, and she wasn't going to let that continue. But fans didn't see it that way. Online discussions exploded with people calling her behavior toxic and controlling. Some even said this was the moment Julia needed to finally break free and build a life without constant interference. As days passed, Julia began focusing on herself. She started sharing positive posts again, about self-love, strength, and moving forward. Yet, her eyes told a different story. Every time she mentioned family or marriage, there was a visible sadness. It's clear that even though she's trying to stay strong, the scars from this betrayal will take time to heal. The couple's future remains uncertain. Some insiders say they're trying counseling, while others insist the relationship is beyond repair. Brandon reportedly promised to change, to stand up to his mother, and to rebuild trust with Julia. But fans who've watched them for years aren't convinced. The cycle of interference, control, and emotional breakdowns has repeated too many times. Still, there's hope among loyal fans that Julia will find her happiness again, whether with Brandon or on her own. Many viewers admire her courage to speak out and confront the family dynamics that have caused her so much pain. In the end, this chapter of 90 Day Fiancé reminds everyone that behind the reality TV glamour are real people facing heartbreak, betrayal, and tough choices. Julia's life may be in ruins for now, but her resilience might just become the most powerful story of all. And as for Brandon, only time will tell if he can rise above his mistakes and prove that love is stronger than control, chaos, or even an arrest record. Julia Trubkina and Brandon Gibbs are going to be parents. The 90 Day Fiancé stars are expecting their first baby together, sharing their pregnancy news exclusively with People. Trubkina, 31, and Gibbs, also 31, are thrilled to step into this new chapter of their lives, telling People it's both exciting and a little surreal. Big news we're expecting, the couple shares. It's both exciting and a little surreal, but we couldn't be more thrilled to step into this new chapter. Thank you all for the love and support. We can't wait to share the journey with you. The couple, who tied the knot in April 2020, appeared on Season 8 of the TLC series, as well as Season 6 of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, 90 Day Diaries, and Season 2 of 90 Day The Last Resort. Through the series, fans have been able to follow the pair's relationship from when the soon-to-be first-time mom initially moved onto the Gibbs farm in Richmond, Virginia, from Russia. The transition to living with the family wasn't always comfortable. However, Trubkina and Gibbs' relationship stayed strong. In January 2022, Trubkina shared an Instagram reel of herself dancing to the cha-cha slide alongside her husband and his parents. In the video, the family looked to be in good spirits. In her caption, she mentioned that her husband took a tumble as the video cut out. Lost. Brandon at the end of the video grinning squinting face. Trubkina wrote, "Have a wonderful day, guys." Since then, the married couple have moved into a place of their own. Despite any stressors that they've faced since their relationship, Trubkina noted in a 2022 post on Instagram that when they're together, everything will be fine. United States, our year began with obstacles, she wrote in a caption. My fever is 105. The rent for the apartment ends soon. We need to make a decision about future actions. There were problems with documents, but we are together. Everything will be fine. Julia Trubkina's actions in 90 Day The Last Resort lead me to believe that she has fallen out of love with her husband, Brandon Gibbs. She and her American partner first met through a mutual friend before the COVID-19 pandemic. They fell in love with each other's personalities and started a relationship shortly after, leading to their appearance in 90 Day Fiancé Season 8. Initially, I enjoyed watching Brandon and Julia's story, as they seemed like genuine cast members with relatable issues. However, it wasn't long before Julia disappointed me by pushing Brandon to move out of his home. While Brandon and Julia took a break from appearing on the small screen, I stayed updated on their journey through social media. I watched as they faced challenges and grew stronger as a couple. I was especially impressed by Julia's efforts to reconcile with her in-laws and become a good daughter-in-law to them. Therefore, I was truly surprised when I learned that Brandon and Julia were participating in 90 Day The Last Resort Season 2. I had no idea that they were still struggling with significant relationship issues that had drastically altered their dynamic. Julia's recent actions and revelations have convinced me that she's no longer in love with Brandon. In a recent episode of the 90 Day Fiancé spin-off, she discussed her cheating scandal without showing a lot of remorse. She admitted to Brandon that she wasn't sure about their long-distance relationship in the beginning, so she had started dating and kissing her former boyfriend. Julia explained that she only opened up about her past infidelity in front of other cast members because it weighed heavily on her and caused her emotional distress. If Julia truly regretted her actions, she would have tried to express her love for Brandon. Instead, she chose to focus on her own feelings, showing a lack of concern for Brandon's emotions. Her response implies her guilt stemmed from being more involved with her ex than she had admitted. Julia's recent behavior leads me to believe that she isn't grateful for what Brandon has done for her. She diminishes the fact that he left his family farm for her and minimizes his sacrifices. Julia has also never acknowledged that he supported her through her deportation scare and all her new career moves. The fact that Julia doesn't want to have a child with Brandon makes me think that she has no respect for him. It seems like she only cares about herself and her feelings without considering what Brandon wants. Recently, an Instagram account at 90dayfiance.news and .memes shared photos of Julia with her muscular ex-boyfriend. Many fans commented on the post, saying that Julia had downgraded herself by marrying Brandon, who doesn't look as good as her ex. A user commented, "Guys, it was just a kiss, but we believed it." Someone else wrote, "Brandon needs to leave her, you can tell she is not into him." I believe fans are right that Brandon isn't Julia's type. The Russian reality star is more into bulky and attractive men like her ex than someone with an average build like Brandon. Brandon Gibbs and Julia Trubkina may be the saviors of 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after? Season 9. That's a statement I never thought I'd make because they've been super irritating in past 90 Day Fiancé iterations. Despite their corny entrance at the beginning of 90 Day Fiancé, happily ever after? Season 9 Episode 4. They brought some much-needed drama to the show. I honestly don't recall a time when they were thrilled while the TLC cameras were following their every move, and most of their conflict has always been driven by Brandon's parents, Ron and Betty. They're so overbearing and have been called out for it in the past, but in just one episode, they made it crystal clear that they're never going to change. Congratulations to 90 Day Fiancé stars Julia Trubkina and Brandon Gibbs, who are about to become parents. Big news, we're expecting, the couple told People magazine. It's both exciting and a little surreal, but we couldn't be more thrilled to step into this new chapter. Thank you all for the love and support. We can't wait to share the journey with you. Brandon and Julia appeared on Season 8 of 90 Day Fiancé and are on the current season of 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After. The 90 Day Fiancé Instagram also shared the happy news with a video of the couple and their dog, Nala. "Thank you so much for all of your love and support," Julia says in the video. On Happily Ever After, they've been sharing their fertility struggles. Julia was told she would likely not be able to have children before she moved from Russia to the US with Brandon. Brandon pushed for her to get a second opinion, which hasn't been revealed yet on the show. Julia addressed her health issues in an Instagram post on August 3rd, the same day the first episode discussing her fertility in depth aired. "I usually don't like to explain or clarify anything, but now I've decided to do it. There are too many people who know more about my life and health than I do," she wrote. She continued, explaining, "In Russia, when I took tests, I knew that I had problems with the thyroid problems. My periods don't come every month as they should. Sometimes they can happen once every few months and last for 2 weeks with terrible pain. The egg doesn't always work as it should. I've had cystitis since I was 14, which unfortunately can't be treated, but can only be stopped with medication." These are all my words, not the professional terms of doctors. During the examination in America, other problems were revealed, but this is only the first exam, 2 weeks until the wait for the blood test and the diagnosis from the doctors, she told fans. After years of public ups and downs with husband Brandon Gibbs, 90 Day Fiancé star Julia Trubkina is opening up about a far more personal heartbreak, the devastating loss of her beloved dog Simba, whom she considered her son. About 5 years ago, Julia moved from Russia to the US on a K-1 visa to marry Brandon. Despite being together for nearly a decade, their relationship has faced serious challenges, including a near divorce that played out on 90 Day. The Last Resort, a spin-off designed to help struggling couples through therapy. By the end of the tell-all, Brandon and Julia were the only couple who officially stayed together, even agreeing to relocate Julia's parents to the US. But in May 2025, they were hit with an unimaginable loss, the death of Simba. While grieving, Julia spent time visiting family in Belgrade, Serbia, notably without Brandon, and shared a touching Instagram story about a dream she had. Moving to America was a massive adjustment for Julia. trading her fast-paced city life in Russia as a go-go dancer for a quiet farm in Virginia with Brandon and his parents was a dramatic shift. Not only did Julia lose her support system when she moved to America, but she quickly had to adjust to the country life and care for farm animals, which wasn't what she envisioned in her role as an American wife. Luckily, though, Julia had her beloved son, Simba, who remained her loyal companion during these challenging times. Even when her husband struggled to connect with her, Simba offered her unconditional support through his calming presence. In the time they were together, Julia cared for her pet as if it were her own son. However, it's likely his absence has added to the voidness in her life and may also contribute to her struggle with maternal love. Julia's dream of protecting Simba may reflect the love and emotion she wishes she had expressed more fully in real life. In April 2025, Simba was diagnosed with an illness that ultimately led to his death. Though it's been over a month, Julia's grief remains palpable. Simba wasn't just a pet. He was a true friend and constant, unconditional companion with whom she shared a deep emotional bond. Given the couple's ongoing struggle with the decision to have children, Julia's pain is even more understandable. Additionally, traveling out of the country to reconnect with family, but lacking her husband's physical support may have likely contributed to the internal turmoil. In the end, it isn't unusual for people to still dream about people or even their pets after a passing. Her heartfelt post in May about losing Simba prompted a flood of responses from fans. She shared, "Run on the rainbow, my boy. You are the best thing that has ever happened to me. I really hope I was a good mommy for you. The pain I feel cannot be expressed in words or tears. My best, beloved boy, you will always be in my heart. Thank you for being in my life. I don't know what I will do without you. I love you with all my heart, Simba." Fans replied with comments like, "Rip sweet Simba," and "So sorry. Losing a pet is heartbreaking. Dogs are family." Julia's story struck a chord with many in the 90-Day Fiancé community, as fans shared their own experiences with losing beloved pets. I'm concerned that 90-Day Fiancé alum Brandon Gibbs is not getting the support he needs from his wife, Julia Trubkina, amid his recent health scare and their relationship pitfalls, leading me to believe Julia is only focused on herself. Brandon and Julia married in 90-Day Fiancé Season 8 in 2020. Since then, the pair have appeared on the Happily Ever After and 90-Day Diaries. Most recently, they put their marriage troubles on full display, as they are current cast members on 90 Day, The Last Resort Season 2, where they are joined by 5 other franchise couples. Brandon and Julia's original issues focused on Julia's need for independence from Brandon's parents, Ron and Betty Gibbs. They lived on Brandon's family farm, where Ron and Betty became very involved in their relationship. The pair were able to move out and have since made several moves before settling in the Hampton Roads, Virginia area. It was surprising to me to see Brandon and Julia on The Last Resort, as they paint a less problematic picture online, but I see that changing as Julia is falling short of what I see Brandon's needs are. Coming on to The Last Resort Season 2, Brandon and Julia outlined their disconnect over wanting to have a child. Julia was against it, and it was Brandon's dream. Julia revealed she got a diagnosis from a doctor in Russia that it would be very hard for her to conceive. However, knowing how much a baby means to Brandon, Julia agreed to get a second opinion from a US doctor. The problem I have with Julia here is that having a child is not something she wants, and I don't see her compromising even if she gets a better bill of health. The other major marriage turmoil Brandon and Julia encountered was Julia admitting that she cheated on Brandon with her ex-boyfriend early on in their relationship back in Russia. Brandon felt blindsided by the admission and felt betrayed by Julia, who wanted Brandon to forgive her since it was long ago. I think Julia doesn't realize how badly that revelation hurt Brandon and contributed to his overall anxiety and unease in their marriage. Julia also had criticism for Brandon's parents and how they allegedly didn't care about her side of things in her conflicts with Brandon. I thought Julia's words were hurtful considering how much Ron and Betty have helped her out. Moreover, Julia made another surprise announcement that betrayed Brandon's trust when she said she applied for her parents to get an American visa behind his back. Their arrival means they will be staying with Brandon and Julia, so I believe she only has her interests at heart. To me, Julia acts on her own volition without consideration of Brandon. In January 2025, Julia gave an interview in which she relayed that Brandon had a panic attack that subsequently sent him to the hospital. Brandon clearly has fragile mental health, and I don't think Julia caters to that. I feel if she did, she would not put his mental health out for the public to hear about, and she would offer more help and stop delivering blow after blow to him. It seems to me like Brandon has been dealing with his anxiety on his own, and he is trying to overcome his condition himself. Brandon has been hitting exercise and fitness milestones that seem to be helping him, and all I've seen Julia do is like his posts. Brandon is in a delicate state, and I see Julia only putting him on blast, not supporting him.